Welcome to our podcast, What No Mom Told You, where the rarely spoken truths finally get loud.
I'm Megan Nelson.
And I'm Pauline Walfish. And this is a therapist-led podcast where we talk about the things no one warned you about, the truths that are often kept quiet.
We're naming the messy parts of life: motherhood, fertility, loss, grief, and joy, and everything in between, without judgment.
Because the rarely spoken truths need to be said out loud, and because no one should feel alone.
Welcome to What No Mom Told You.
Hello and welcome back. I'm Pauline Walfish, and I am here with my faithful co-host for another episode for Infertility Awareness Month. So, Megan, would you introduce our guest today?
Absolutely. Today's guest is Danielle Zauderer, a licensed clinical social worker based in New York and Massachusetts, certified in perinatal mental health through Postpartum Support International. Danielle specializes in infertility, reproductive loss, endometriosis, LGBTQIA identity, and brings both clinical expertise and lived experience to her work. Today, she's been generous enough to step outside of her clinical role, her therapist chair, to share her own lived experience with infertility, third-party reproduction, and so much more. Danielle, thank you so much. Dani, we'll call you Dani, right?
Dani is good, yes.
Yeah.
Danielle,
so
if I'm in
Danielle's
trouble.
Your bio, Dani is your, okay. So thank you so much for being here and being willing to share your experience with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to share it. I know that part of what helped me on my journey was other people sharing theirs.
Yeah, and you have such a cool, dynamic, rich story to share that so many people don't even realize goes into building families. So it's really great to have you here.
Thank you.
Yeah. So when did you realize infertility was going to be part of your story?
Yeah, so I think going into it, my wife and I knew we were going to need some type of help, right? We knew we only had 2 eggs and 2 uteruses in this house. We're going to need some extra assistance. So we're thinking, okay, we're going to get some donor sperm, get some high quality sperm, do an IUI at the doctor's office. Right time and some good sperm is all you need. Wrong, So from the beginning, we knew we were planning on doing an IUI. We thought about the home insemination stuff. And ultimately, New York is actually a state where, and this may have changed, so if the internet corrects me, I'm sorry. Back when we started in 2021, when we were deciding who was going to go first, because we both wanted to carry, we both felt really strongly about carrying, and both felt really strongly about having a genetic component. So our IVF was discussed. Ultimately, we decided.
I'm going to pause you for a second,
Yes.
right? Because that's a big decision point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most heteronormative couples, so straight couples, don't have to decide which parent is going to have a genetic connection.
Right.
But right off the bat, not just thinking about how and where to get donor sperm, but then you also had to think about whose egg you were using.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you're thinking about whose egg, the sperm. Something else that comes into play with a lot of same-sex couples we know is something we call uncle daddy, which is when somebody has a brother and then the other partner uses that person's brother's sperm. So uncle daddy.
So it would be what we call a known donor, right?
A known donor, but the donor is technically the biological father, but then also happens to be the baby's uncle when it comes to
some genetic with the non-egg donor mom.
Yes. So if one of Alyssa's brothers were to donate sperm and we would use my egg, that would be what we would refer to as the uncle daddy situation, which for a lot of people, that's a really happy medium for them, of someone who's I don't really care about using my egg. I don't really care about carrying, but I would love some genetic component. They're able to use their brother's sperm and then the other mom's egg. So something we discussed, ultimately decided it wasn't for us because we both wanted to carry and both wanted that direct genetic component. So decided on an unknown donor and decided we would both take turns. So we both have embryos frozen with our egg and the same donor. And
How do
I
you
can't.
decide who goes first? Do you do it at the same time? Do you
flip a
flip a
coin?
coin? Like, what happens?
So this was a big fight in our house. And I always tell people this is something that I think a lot of people don't talk about because, in a lot of the same way that straight relationships can be very heteronormative in that, like, hey, well, the man and the woman and you have your roles. A lot of people look at lesbian couples and think like, oh, you're the more masculine one, you're the more feminine one, you're the wife, right? That's what the joke people make. And so everyone assumed, oh, I'm sure Dani's going to be the one that wants to carry. Alyssa felt really strongly. She really wanted to carry. So we actually really fought a little bit about it. She was like, I'm older. I was like, okay, but it makes more sense for me because I have more flexibility in my job, right? So ultimately, the way we ended up actually deciding was Alyssa did not feel ready to take a maternity leave for as long as she would want to when she carries. And ultimately, I was in a place where I was in my private practice at the time. I had more flexibility. And so we ended up deciding based on logistics, but it was not an easy decision to make. And our plan now is I have had a baby, I have carried, and it was my egg. And our plan is in the next coming year, Alyssa will do the same with the same donor. Her embryo is ready to go. And then if we have a third, we will see who had an easier pregnancy. And that's who carries the third.
Wow, you guys are ambitious if we have the third.
We started thinking we wanted 5 kids and that slowly changed.
Okay.
We're down to 2 or 3.
Yeah, I thought I was going to have 6.
Yeah.
Have 2.
I thought I was gonna have
It's
3.
ambitious.
Yeah. But that's where you're thinking. That's where you were thinking, right?
Yeah.
Which,
so we're
can you just, like, for people who might not know, like, what is IUI?
Yeah. So IUI is not the same as artificial insemination. So artificial insemination could be sperm just going up there, right? That's what you would do at home, like a turkey baster situation.
Mhm.
Whereas IUI is they're putting a catheter through your cervix into your uterus and shooting the sperm up there. And Alyssa actually got to do the first one with the doctor. So that was fun. And we were, of course, convinced we were getting pregnant because everyone tells you, don't get pregnant, don't get pregnant, don't get pregnant. So you think, okay, they're putting like really quality sperm up there and they're putting it straight into your uterus at the perfect day, at the perfect time. Like, we are so getting pregnant today. Well, we did so not get pregnant that day. We didn't get pregnant many days. So
Which
yeah, we did.
happens to a lot of people.
Right. You get told for so long, don't have sex, you got pregnant. Then you start trying to get pregnant and you're like, this is a lot harder than you guys made it seem in health class. I mean, maybe it would have been easier when I was 17.
Or 13. Like,
Right. When they first start scaring you.
Yeah.
That's when it begins.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we did 3 IUIs. They all failed. Every time we were sure we were going to get pregnant.
So let me just back up for 1 second. So, like, you and your wife thought, like, the only problem that you had was that there was, like, no penis and sperm available.
Exactly. We're like, okay, obviously we need the sperm.
So
we
this
don't
is
have
like,
those goods.
I guess some people would, like, not even consider this infertility, right? It's just
Right.
like building your family with some third party.
Yeah. And that's what we're thinking going in, right? We're thinking like, all right, there's no penis here. We're going to have to buy some sperm and be on our way.
Mhm. Do you have to buy a lot of the same sperm if you're thinking of having
Oh, yeah.
multiple children?
Such
You
a
have
good
to buy-
question, Megan.
That's a really good question. And it's so expensive and so important because a lot of times donors retire. And
Yeah.
then you're like halfway through your journey, you become very attached to this donor and they're like, there's no vials available. And you're like, what? Oh my God, why didn't I buy more? So they tell you, the sperm bank tells you at first, like if you're planning on having multiple kids, buy 5 or 6. We had friends that bought 12 vials and I'm pretty sure they used a lot of them. We ended up buying probably 10 vials in total, which the sperm is expensive too. It's $1,200 a vial, or was at the time. And then you have to pay $250 to ship it. And you can really only ship 1 vial at a time because once it leaves the bank, you can't return it. So there's a 50% buyback. So you have like incentive to leave it at the sperm bank so that, okay, if you don't use it, at least I'll buy it back versus if you already shipped it to your fertility clinic, too bad, you're out.
Complicated.
So complicated. So many things you're just like never going to think about. So we bought a lot of our donor sperm.
Yeah. And when you're using donor sperm so the chances of success with an IUI are smaller than with IVF. But when you have like no other known medical reason, it makes sense, right? It's a least invasive procedure, but it's also can rack up really quickly because you don't have somebody at home just reproducing sperm.
Yeah.
You're spending an extra $1,200 every time just to use. And also, like, a vial probably has, like, 100
This
million
much?
sperm in it, but you need one
Yeah.
to work.
Yeah.
So it's like a big expense every time you're doing an IUI
Every
financially.
time. Yes, every time. And you don't know. And thankfully, in the beginning, our insurance at least covered the procedure part of it. But yeah, the sperm is never covered and the shipping is never covered. The shipping is always what killed me. I'm like, really? Like, can't you include that in the vial cost? You guys are killing me over here.
Oh. It's like having tile shipped to your house. You're like, oh, I'll buy this tile. And then it's like $700 to have it shipped. You're like,
Yeah, I'm like, I can pick it up, but then like, who wants to do your job bad when you pick up the sperm? Like, no, thank you. You imagine me just like driving with a tank? Like, there's definitely they have movies about that. So as we're doing the IUIs, our doctor's like, oh, you have PCOS. So we're like, okay, we know that we have something working against us now. There is an infertility piece here, but if I have PCOS, the workaround to that would have been an IUI anyway. So okay. We have the 3 failed IUIs, go to IVF. As soon as we do IVF, we realize, oh, okay, there's also an egg quality issue because I get only 5 embryos and I'm 30 at the time. And only one of them is chromosomally normal after testing. So we're like, okay, thank
Okay, so
goodness.
chromosomally normal, that means that, like, they sent your embryos out for testing, and before you even put them back into your body, you know if they're carrying any sort of, like, genetic malformations or traits or anomalies.
any that they can test
Yeah.
for.
Right. Yeah, because there's stuff, then they can't test for. And I'm sure since we tested our first batch of embryos, which those are long gone, I'm sure there's better testing now, right? They can test for more. So we did PGTA testing. That could be a whole other episode, right? Of like, there's also PGTM testing, which is for other conditions. Like we have friends who are carriers for certain things that they made sure to test those embryos with PGTM to make sure that their embryos were not carriers for those things. Thankfully, with donor sperm, we knew what I was a carrier for, and we picked a donor that was not a carrier for any of the same things. So we didn't have to worry about that. But yeah, so at that point, we're like, my doctor's like, good thing we did IVF. You have one euploid, chromosomally normal embryo. Let's transfer it. Transfer fails. Okay, now we're back down to 0. We're like 4 vials of sperm in. We're like 5 months in. It didn't even tell the part where our first IUI was scheduled. We go to walk out the door and they call and they're like, we're so sorry, your IUI was canceled. Our clinic is flooded. I was like, okay, this is definitely some bad foreshadowing here. Because we thought we were getting pregnant then, August 2021. That did not happen.
Did they keep the sperm or did you have to use new sperm?
They hadn't thought it yet, thankfully, but we actually ended up switching donors in between that first canceled IUI and the next IUI that we actually did. And I'm really thankful we did now because we do actually know a bunch of the donor siblings and we have a nice relationship with them. And it's really cool to see our son's genetic siblings like out in the wild. And it's hilarious because they all look like each of us, whoever the carrying or genetic parent was, because some of the couples did do RIVF, but they all look alike too. So there's something about them that all looks like, and they are all just like so cute and delicious looking. So I'm actually really glad we ended up switching. And it really was just because we had a little more time. Like it was actually very hard for us to pick a donor. And I think we were like 70% a yes on our first donor. Whereas like then when our IUI got canceled because of the flood, we had to switch clinics because that clinic was going to be closed for a while. And that gave us like a beat to relook at donors. And we ended up picking our donor that we have now. So that felt meant to be.
We could like do a whole episode on donor siblings and
Yes.
I love to talk about this, but I know like there's other things we want to get to today. But before we switch, I'm imagining that people are listening like, what do you mean donor siblings and how do you find them? So like Cliff Notes, what would you say?
Cliff Notes. So we all found each other through a Facebook group, California Cryobank. People put in, we had a baby with donor whatever number, won't say our donor number. And all the other moms come in and they're like, oh, we have a baby. We have a son and a daughter. And then for our specific donor, we have a Facebook message between all of us. And it's awesome.
So just like Facebook.
Literally Facebook. And
Facebook
then,
bringing people together.
yeah, and another family recently found us because there's also a forum on California Cryobank. So they were looking for siblings, and I was like, come find us on Facebook. So we actually just found another family. Our donor is retired, which I know you had asked that question earlier. So we did run out of our donor sperm and then had to put ourselves on a wait list. And we did get a call one day. We almost were not able to use him anymore, and we were really devastated because at that point, Alyssa already had embryos with him, and I had no embryos left. And so we were like really sad, and we put ourselves on a wait list. And one day I got a call that a family, for some reason, had returned their vials of our donor. And I was like, yes, I'll take them all. Like, it was the craziest phone call of my life and probably the biggest charge I've ever put on my credit card, because I was like, I'm not missing out on any more vials. Like, oh no, I need to get those, right? And there were like 3 vials they returned. I was like, I'll take them all. Take them all. Charge me. I don't care.
There's,
money.
there's also a donor sibling registry, right?
Yes, that's where we found on the Cryobank's website, there's the donor sibling registry. Not everyone reports the pregnancies though. So I think some of the families were just found through Facebook, but some also through the registry. But yeah,
And
so
so
that's
that's
the
like
cliff notes on that.
somebody, is it the Cryobank that maintains that registry, or it's some other like organization?
I believe it's the Cryobank because that's who you report the pregnancy to.
And then people register, and then later, if and when you want, you can connect with the other people who have also registered with that donor.
Yes. Yes. And our donor is what's called an open ID donor. So at 18, all the kids will get his full name and contact info for him if parents decide to do it. I know what we always learned was that it's very important for him to know where he comes from, and we will very much openly share about his donor leading up to that time and then give him that information if and when he wants it. But yeah, so that's like the cliff notes of donor siblings. And it's a nice thing but I also think it's necessary in the tri-state area, because sometimes you can have a lot of siblings, and quite frankly, you have queer families, you're going to have us in certain demographic pockets. And you do have, for that reason, if, we don't have 50 siblings, but some families do, they could meet each other, and you don't need an accidental incest situation on your hands. Is it unlikely? Sure. But could it happen? 100%.
It's a small world.
It's a small, small world. You don't want to be like, wait, you're my sister? This is not good. I don't need to get a call like that from
that
him one
most
day.
people don't have to think about when they're having kids is who they're going to accidentally marry.
Yeah.
Which is so important also to like inform your children that if it was not a same-sex couple, that,
right.
By the way, you were conceived using donor gamete. Like that, if they didn't know that and it was just never talked about.
Surprise.
Yeah, surprise. So donor siblings. So, okay, so we were getting to the part of now we realize I have PCOS, but now we also realize I have an egg quality issue, which can be explained by PCOS, but I had had painful periods since I was 12. My first period was excruciating. I could not go to school. The OBGYN was like, take birth control. Oh, that didn't work? Take NSAID, the prescription one they give you. I don't even remember what it was called, but I do know that it didn't work. I would like miss school, be burning myself with a heating pad, excruciating pain. Now I know that's not normal. But growing up,
did people just tell you it was normal?
Yeah, they were like, you have painful periods? Yeah.
Some people
that you should not be missing school when you're 12 years old. And really, really heavy periods too. So like one of my like worst middle school memories is bleeding through my jeans and being like, this can't be normal. Especially like 12, I was kind of on the younger side. Like not a lot of my friends had their period yet. So it was really embarrassing. So now looking back, I'm like, duh, of course. So the real surprise in the story, the real infertility wrench is I heard this commercial in 2015 that was like, do you ever feel like your uterus is wrapped in barbed wire? You might have endometriosis. And I like heard it in my head for years. And I was like, do I have endometriosis? Like every period I'd be like, is your uterus wrapped in barbed wire? I'm like, yeah, it so is. It is totally wrapped in barbed wire. What is happening? So I always had an idea. I brought it up to my fertility doctor and he was like, honestly, it's very probable you're having this egg quality issue. You have heavy, painful periods. That's not normal. He said, though, a lot of the times, and this is true, a lot of the times you can get around endo, a lot of the times, not all of the time, with IVF. So we move forward with IVF. We do another round of IVF. So now we're on our second egg retrieval. Was so swollen and so much pain. We were planning on doing a fresh transfer, not testing the embryos first, just take the eggs out. 5 days later, pop it back up. And I was in so much pain, my fresh transfer got canceled. I take my wife to her appointment because we're doing stuff in tandem at this point, not getting pregnant at the same time, but like she's getting ready to do a retrieval because she's like, wow, it's taking her a lot longer than we thought. I want to freeze my embryos now when she was 32 at the time. I was 30 or 31. She wanted to freeze her embryos then. So I take her to some fertility appointment at our doctor. And I joked before we left, watch, she's going to see me and be like, wow, you look so good today. Why don't we see if you have an embryo ready? We walk into his office. Alyssa does her saline sonogram as like part of her preparation for her retrieval and her stuff. And he's like, you look a lot better. Do you feel better? And I'm like, I feel so much better. He's like, let me go check with the lab. He literally in real time calls the lab. He's like, do we have an embryo for Danielle? And he's like, I have a gorgeous embryo for her. We're like, oh my God, this is it. The baby's coming, right? We're like, so sure, we're getting pregnant today. So he's like, you guys go get some coffee or tea, whatever. We're going to get everything prepped and you're getting an embryo transfer today. We're like, oh my God, this is crazy. We call my mom. She's like, this is so crazy. This is so the day you're getting pregnant. Because we're like,
Is that how your mom talks?
Like,
that's like a great way.
Yeah, this is exactly how my mom talks. It's like, this is it. It's happening today. I know it. So I actually do end up getting pregnant. It's my first pregnancy. We're like, oh my God. We get our phone call about my blood results on Mother's Day that year. I'm like, finally, I'm pregnant. I'm nauseous. I'm sick to my stomach. I'm like, this is amazing. We're like, this has to be it, right? So I graduate from the fertility clinic at 8 weeks. I go to my OB, and as he's doing the scan, and the date is important here, it was June 1st of 2022. As he's doing the scan, he looks nervous, and I'm like, oh no. And he's measuring, and I can see that the baby is not measuring where they're supposed to be measuring. And he's like, I'm sorry, there's no heartbeat. So this is June 1st. My birthday is June 2nd. He takes me into his office. We call my fertility doctor. Thankfully, they have a relationship, and both doctors are wonderful. And my fertility doctor gets me in for a DNC the very next day, which is my birthday. So my first pregnancy ends in a DNC on my birthday, and everyone's texting me, happy birthday, I hope you're having the best day ever. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's really good over here. But I had to just like laugh through it because it was just like, okay, this is happening. This is what's going on. That night we get Chinese food, and I have the fortune with me here because it's a very important part of the story. I get a fortune. I'm not kidding. It says, be patient. In time, even an egg will walk. I was like,
how do you not have that framed?
Oh, I do, but I brought it from the fridge for the podcast.
Okay.
So it's up on our fridge with a picture of Roey's embryo, which he now goes, ball. I'm like, not quite. That's actually you. But we can correct that later on. So I'll try to like cut the cliff notes of this. So essentially at that point, we're like, okay, maybe the embryo was chromosomally abnormal, right? This was an untested embryo. With the DNC, we're able to test the tissue. It is a chromosomally normal embryo. There is nothing wrong with the embryo. That doesn't mean that something didn't develop wrong. So we're still like, okay, could just be bad luck plus an egg quality issue that is explained by PCOS, not necessarily endo. So fast forward, I don't even remember at this point what we did, but all in all, we did 7 IUIs, 4 egg retrievals, and 6 embryo transfers. The last one resulting in...
This is not for both of
Just me, yes. So just me, 7 IUIs, 4 egg retrievals, and 6 embryo transfers later. But we do have our son now. And also
there was some other interventions in there.
Yes. So that's what I'm like, let me make sure I get to that. So in all of that, we switched clinics at some point because the clinic that I'd been working with my doctor that I loved was in the city, and I just couldn't get up at 5 o'clock in the morning anymore and then work all night long. It was like kind of insane that I did that, honestly.
What people don't know is like the crazy schedule of IVF is like the line out the door at 6 in the morning, right? It's like,
yeah, I was getting up at 4:30 in the morning to be at my 6 a.m. monitoring appointment in the city when we lived on Long Island. It was crazy, but I loved my doctor. So I was like, a minute, like I'm staying, right? The funny part of the story is that when we eventually got pregnant with my son now, our doctor that we had to leave in the city that we were sad to leave, but it was just geographically an issue, moved to a clinic nearby that we then got new insurance. And our last retrieval was actually covered by insurance because after my first miscarriage, our insurance was up. That was it. We had maxed out our insurance. And for the rest of our fertility treatments for the next year and a half or so, it was all out of pocket. So I joke Roey's the $100,000 baby. And I would do it all over again, but it was definitely a big expense. So we switched clinics. She's like, the new doctor's like, try IUIs again. I'm like, that doesn't sound like a good idea, but okay. So we did 2 more IUIs, which is how we ended up doing 7 IUIs. Then we did 2 injectable IUIs to add for the 7 IUIs. Then at that point, I'm like, listen, I think I have endo. She's like, I can do endo surgery. And this is a big mistake I made, which was thinking she's an IVF specialist at a major institution that everyone has said, go here, they're the best of the best. I'm going to trust her. She does endo surgery on me in, I want to say January 2023. And she says, oh, I found one small spot and I removed it. And I took one look at my mom. I woke up from surgery and I said, she didn't look good. My mom's like, Dani, I didn't love her either, but I'm sure she looked. I mean, she did surgery on you. I'm like, she didn't. I told my wife, I'm like, she didn't look good. I know it. Like, I have severe endo. I'm positive at this point. Now we've had so many times that I should have been pregnant or stayed pregnant at this point. Like, something's wrong. And I have these excruciating periods, not just that, GI issues, bladder issues, back pain, leg pain, like excruciating pain all cycle long. And I was just like always chalked it up to other issues.
What was it, like a specific type of surgery she did, or?
Yeah, so she did a laparoscopic. They just call it like a lap to look, right?
So that's
But,
like they're not cutting you open. They just like poke
Yes.
some holes and go in with a camera.
Yes, they go in with the camera, and she did ablation, which, Ron, if you hear that a surgeon is going to do ablation on your endometriosis, excision is the gold standard. And I knew that when I had the surgery with her. I had seen that in all of the endo groups, and I ignored my gut. And so one of my big things, my takeaways is don't ignore your gut. Like, just because a doctor is an expert in their field doesn't mean they're an expert in your body. I knew I shouldn't do it with her. I knew I should go to an endo expert, not just someone who was an IVF expert. And I did it anyway because my insurance covered it, and I was already there for IVF. And it was a big mistake, but any other egg wouldn't have been my son now. So it all worked out how it's supposed to. I tell my mom, my wife, she didn't look good. Everyone thinks I'm nuts. And at this point, I'm starting to think I'm nuts too.
I mean, this has been your whole life. You've been saying since you were, you said 12 years old.
12.
Something's wrong.
Something's wrong. So we do 2 more IUIs after my surgery. We do another egg retrieval. We have another failed embryo transfer. Then we do a double embryo transfer. We put 2 embryos up.
Which is pretty rare. A lot of people won't do that, right?
Won't do that.
Yeah.
But at this point, they're like, we've been trying to get this girl pregnant since August of 2021. In July, when we were in October of 2023 at that point when we do the double embryo transfer. I get pregnant and I have a horrible miscarriage, like extremely painful, and while I'm working. And I'm at the end of a session, thankfully, and I just start getting a little crampy. And then, like, thankfully, my session had ended when I actually started having a miscarriage. But, like, a 5-minute difference, I would have been in my next session. So I am so thankful that didn't happen in the session, because how traumatic for literally everyone, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
women work through miscarriages. It's amazing.
Yeah, women.
I mean, it's not amazing in a good way. It's amazing, and like this is what women have to do, right? Like it's this invisible thing that's happening and carrying on.
Yeah, it's just like you're expected to do that. I mean, even one of the big things I talk about when I work with other therapists who are going through infertility is, a lot of the times we're like picking up phone calls about our results or our betas worse, right? You're getting your pregnancy test that you're not pregnant, or that your embryos weren't euploid, like, and then you're just going into your next session. Like,
don't dare miss that phone call.
Right.
Because if they call you and you don't answer, it's not until tomorrow you get to talk to somebody.
Yes, because they call you when they're closed, technically. They make for whatever reason, you're the last call of the day. And then if you miss the phone call, forget it. So it's like, as a therapist, what are you supposed to do? You're in session with a patient. Oh, sorry, my doctor's calling. right? But at the end of the day, it was like you end up having to
Therapists are
model.
people too.
Yeah, you end up having to model like healthy boundaries for yourself of I'm really sorry, but you know how doctors' offices are. If I don't pick up, I'm never going to hear from them. But you also take this huge risk picking up this phone call and not knowing if you're going to get totally dysregulated and you're in with a client. I mean, so, I've always been an open book. I didn't share everything with people I was working with, but people did know I was going through fertility treatments because there were times where at a whim and a 72-hour notice that I would need to cancel sessions. We had a long journey, it was 4 years. So my clients that were with me for those 4 years, they knew, okay, she's having an egg retrieval or there's a transfer today. And that could be a whole other episode too. So I won't get
Yeah,
distracted.
and also, like, I want to get to the other part, but
Oh yeah, the big
like,
reveal.
I had this moment of like a little bit of like jealousy, right? Because like as a queer couple, like it's just assumed you're going through fertility treatments, and like as a straight couple, like nobody assumes that, and so like it's a disclosure that you didn't have to make
Mm.
that other people would.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
100%,
you
right? Like,
obviously you don't have to disclose it, but also it's like
but it's assumed if we're
less
trying to have a
stigmatized,
baby.
right?
100%. And as a straight therapist or just in a heterosexual relationship, you're having to disclose you're having an infertility issue, whereas I'm not having to do that because everyone knows me and Alyssa are not making a baby at home
Right.
unless they missed a class. Which someone did say to me, Alyssa, once, looking at both of us, you girls are going to get pregnant when you least expect it. I was like, do you know how a baby is made? Because I'm pretty sure us girls not going to get pregnant when we least expect it. I think we'll expect it. I hope so.
And I'm pretty sure neither of you look like the Virgin Mary.
No, I don't think so. I'm not wearing that outfit.
So funny.
So yeah, I mean, what a journey.
Right,
So everyone thinks I'm crazy. I think I'm crazy at this point because I'm like the surgeon who literally looked inside me with cameras didn't look good. Like, okay, Dani, you're not well, right? But I was right. So I have this miscarriage after this double embryo transfer, and me and Alyssa are in the emergency room. And I'm like, Alyssa, I told you she didn't look good and I have severe endo. My organs are attached to each other. I just know it. I am ravaged with endo inside. So, and the hard part about endo is the only way you can see it is laparoscopic surgery. You don't see it when you're doing an egg retrieval. You don't see it during a saline sonogram. For someone like me, well, I'm not going to ruin it. No spoiler alert. But the long story short is Alyssa said, I believe you. I think you do have severe endo and you need to go to an excision expert and we'll pay out of pocket for the surgery because quite frankly, at this point, what's another $10,000, right? Like, and this is our life. She said, Dan, this isn't just about fertility at this point. You're in excruciating pain all cycle round. Like, this is not normal because at this point with all the fertility meds, it was flaring up my endo so bad that I literally felt like my uterus and my entire torso was wrapped in barbed wire. I had shooting pains down my leg. I was sitting in sessions, literally just like ice pack full behind my chair. Like, I was in excruciating pain all the time. And GI issues, bladder issues, like you name it. But it was all chalked up to like, oh, you have IBS. So you have an overactive bladder. So I have endo surgery with an endo expert, and she also has a urology surgeon she works with. They are amazing. He literally held my hand as I went under. My fertility doctor, who I got to end up with, also held my hand during my scan when I was bleeding during my pregnancy with Rowie, which is a whole other separate piece. Pregnancy after infertility and loss is so hard. But the doctors that got me pregnant, and my OB also, who saw me 38 times during my pregnancy and know that I was only pregnant for 37 weeks and I was at the fertility clinic for 8 of those. So he saw me a lot, and that doesn't count my labor and delivery visits, which were 12, or the private sonos. So Rowie was looked at a lot when I was pregnant, and I was given a lot of reassurance, and I'm really lucky to the team that ultimately gave me my baby. So long story short, I come out of surgery. I said, what time is it?
So you have a second surgery.
So I have a second surgery with 2 endo experts. Like, endo is what they do all day long. Wish I had listened to them in the first place. So, because I knew from them when I got the ablation surgery with my IVF doctor, not the doctor that ultimately got me pregnant, that I should not be getting ablation, that excision is gold standard. So I wake up, I say, what time is it? He says, I think it was 11 something. So I was like, oh, I was in surgery for 3.5 hours. He said, you have stage 4. It was everywhere. Your organs were attached to each other. And I'm like, I just started crying. Like, I was like, oh my God, I'm not crazy. Like, and I'm like, wow, she really didn't look. That was the second thing I thought. Like, how do you miss that? You know, when I got my pathology report back, there was a 4 centimeter mass attaching my rectum to some organ. I don't remember what it was. 4 centimeters. That's not like you missed that. 4 centimeters is like, right? I think that's what 4 centimeters looks like. That's not like, oh, this is a tiny little spot and I burned it off. 4 centimeters? Did she look at all? Started to question if she even did surgery on me. Like, I'm like, I know I have the incision marks. So they removed everything. They removed every piece of endo. I think like there were maybe like 30 biopsies taken and almost all of them were endometriosis. So I had it everywhere except, and this is the interesting part and why my case was missed for so long, most likely, not in my ovaries or my fallopian tubes. So when people have endometriomas on their ovaries and fallopian tubes, you're going to see that on scan. And you're possibly going to pull out a cyst during an egg retrieval. And usually in advanced stage endo, your ovaries are going to be impacted. So the thought was always, yes, I probably had endo, but it wasn't stage 3 or 4, so we can use IVF to work around it. So my case happens to be something that is maybe not as commonly seen, but actually the more and more I spend in endo spaces, the more I find out my story is not so unique. And there are a lot of women with stage 4 deep infiltrating endo, multiple organ involvement. I mean, I had endometriosis on my ureters. Your next stop is your kidney. Like, this isn't just a GYN disease. Like, your ureters literally next, your kidney's next. So that's not good. That has nothing to do with pregnancy. That's just your organs.
Yeah.
But so my wife gets a new job, she gets new insurance, and our fertility doctor from the city moves to the local clinic that is where we have our insurance through. And I wait 3 months after my endo surgery with excision specialist, which is what I should have done all along. But I know why. There were tons of reasons to wait, and I do an egg retrieval. I do a fresh transfer. We don't test the embryo, and the result is my 17-month-old son. So we have a happy ending.
But whew, did you work for that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, I'm sweating telling the story.
It's 4 years of 4 years before, right?
4 years,
Everything is focused on that.
How can you tell this story like so? I know you said like you're sweating. Is it from like the
Always.
exercise
I
or the
think it's the
emotional
hormones.
experience?
I still think my hormones are like all out of whack, honestly. But also it's very possible that my son woke up and my wife turned the heat on because he likes it to be a toasty 75 degrees. And it kind of feels like she did that.
Yeah.
So I think that's actually probably why I'm sweating.
How can you tell this story without getting emotional? You've told it to us so beautifully.
You know what? I had to. Like, I had to be able to do this to get to the point I'm at. I couldn't stop go, right? I had to just keep moving. And the whole time, that's what I just kept doing. I just kept moving. I was like, next round, next round, next round. And like I said, I had to laugh because, I mean, come on, who gets a DNC on their birthday after their first pregnancy? Like, it's funny at a certain point. You're like, where is Ashton Kutcher? Come out and punk me already. I'm done. Yeah. And I credit my ability to do that as to how I didn't give up, because I look back and I'm like, it's kind of insane that I wasn't just like, hey, Alyssa, you want to get pregnant too? I'm out.
That was going to be my next question. At some point were you
yeah,
can we just switch? This is not, yeah.
I mean, so many people asked us that. And for me,
She was determined,
I
it
was
sounds
just
like.
determined. And for me, I was like, I can't let this be my story. And honestly, I know myself. As much as I'm able to laugh when I tell this story, I would have been so jealous of Alyssa to see her have the pregnancy that I wanted to have so badly. Yeah. And it would have destroyed me. This didn't. It broke me down and it was really hard, but it didn't totally wreck me from the inside out the way it would have wrecked me. And I really believe our marriage, had we just switched, I don't think we would have survived that. And I think that's a thing that's really stigmatized too, of well, why does it matter, right? It's going to be your baby anyway. But at the end of the day, I said to her, Alyssa, I can't let my only pregnancy be one where my baby died inside of me. I just can't have that be my story. I need to follow through with this. That's who I am as a person. I am stubborn to a fault, but I say, my stubbornness is what got me my Rowie, and he's literally sunshine in human form. I mean, he's the most delicious, happiest, I would do it all over again for him.
Well, we could talk to you for hours.
Yes. And
But
I
we're
could
out
talk
of
for
time.
hours.
So let's end with the what no mom told you, right? So
Yeah.
if there was a sentence that you could use to sum up this experience that you would want other people to know, what would you say?
Just because a doctor is an expert in their field doesn't mean they're the expert in your care. I wish I had known that from the beginning. Like I said, I would do it all over again because this egg was my son. But I really wish I had trusted my gut, and I really encourage other women to do that. You know, a lot of people said, like, this is the best of the best institution, but quite frankly, the best of the best institution is where she completely missed my endo. And at the end of the day, it's your life. Your doctor is going to go home to their family, ask questions, push. If you find them getting agitated with you, find a new doctor, because at the end of the day, we need to be able to listen to women. And if your doctor can't take some questions, you don't want them. That's not who you want to be your doctor. So I think that is my big
So
takeaway.
speak up.
Speak up. Just because someone's an expert in their field doesn't mean they're the expert in your body. You're the expert in your body. And find someone
you
who
said
believes
it.
that. I said it.
There, you said it. Thank you. It has been such a pleasure being here with you today. And I'm sure that Megan is going to write to me later and say, we have to have her back and do another episode.
I know. So many things to talk about. I'm like, I still have 4 more questions in my head right now. So
Yeah.
really,
I'd
I'm
love to
so-
come back. I'm
Oh.
always happy to be a repeat guest.
Yeah.
so
Well,
happy you have your son and that
Thank
you
you.
pushed through it and worked so hard for that.
yeah.
Thank
Go give him a
you.
big hug from us too.
Yeah.
I'm going to. Thank you guys so much for having me. This was really fun, and I'm really happy to be able to share my story.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And I know it will help somebody listening. So thank
I
you.
really hope so. Thank you guys so much.
We'll see you soon.
I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for spending this time with us. If you found yourself nodding along or saying, same, that's kind of the point.
We hope you leave today feeling a little less alone. This is what no mom told you. And yeah, there's more where that came from.